Hey, Melissa. Thanks so much for talking with us today for Frontline Initiative. I want to introduce Melissa Salazar from Royal Community Supports in New Jersey, talking about her work in direct support today. And that's my first question for you. So tell me about your work in direct support.
So I started working for Royal about 2 years ago. I was in college as a social work major and I needed a part-time job at the time. And Karen Gutschall was one of my professors, and she had previously worked with Patty, the director at Royal, and she ended up connecting us via email, and I applied, and it was all new to me. But along the way, I sort of learned a lot about this field and a lot about myself, and I've loved it ever since. And now I work full-time, almost full-time.
What is it about direct support that you love so much?
Everyone's different. Everyone is unique to work with. And every single time that I work with another individual, I learn about myself, and I learn about things that perhaps I need to work on so I can provide the best quality support. Because everybody's different, every day working with them is a new adventure, and I really enjoy that. So
Very cool. I agree. I love some of those things about direct support as well.
yeah.
I'm curious about how COVID-19, how the pandemic has impacted your work.
A lot of the type of support that the individuals with whom I work with need is community support and sort of connecting with their community. So COVID has kind of made it a little difficult. We've had to do some things virtually, whether that's an annual meeting that they do with their support team, or using masks, gloves, being cautious about indoor activities. Outdoor activities are the best way to prevent any sort of discomfort. And I'm vaccinated fully. Most of the people with whom I work with are vaccinated. And I've also tried my best to educate and sort of facilitate the process of getting the vaccine for some of the people with whom I work with, because they may not know where to sign up or where to get on a list to get vaccinated. Now they are. So yeah.
Were there folks that you worked with who you had to teach to wear a mask, to wear gloves, and preferences that you had to think about when you were talking with and teaching people to do some of these things, if that was the case?
I think teaching, I don't think I needed to teach them. I think I needed to explain why it was important. Sometimes wearing a mask for a long period for some people can be uncomfortable. Like in the car, I wear my mask in the car, and I have people who I wanted to wear their mask in the car. And so I had to explain, I do this because I want to protect you, and I want you to also protect yourself by wearing your masks. And, we need to remember to wash our hands and just be extra careful. This is a weird time. It's a scary time, but we can still have fun. We can still be productive. We just have to take measures that we're not used to taking. But it's doable and it's okay. And, sometimes it's uncomfortable to wear a mask. Sometimes we get hot. All right, I can pull over. We can take a breather outside and get some fresh air in, and then come back, and, things like that. So it's a weird time, and it was hard to get used to at the beginning, because not everybody's comfortable wearing a mask, but it is important. So that's something I didn't really need to teach. I just needed to kind of reinforce why it's important and why I'm wearing the mask. And so, yeah.
Awesome. What were some of the things that helped people to understand that?
Well, when I say things like, I'm doing this because I want to protect you, I don't want to get you sick, and I don't want to get sick either. Because if I get sick, you get sick, we can't do these fun things. We need to protect each other, and we need to protect your family members. When I would explain things like that, it takes it, I think, to more like, it's a little more personal. It's a little more, and sometimes that doesn't always work, but it's important. I've had people who I work with who, maybe don't want to wear the mask in the car. And so to that, I say, well, then I don't think we can go places because it's important to wear the mask in the car. So yeah, just reinforcing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And neat to hear you emphasizing safety for
Yeah.
yourself, for the people you support, for their families,
Mhm.
if you're living with a family or living with roommates, in any of those cases. That's great. Yeah.
Yep.
So, how are you taking care of yourself and your needs in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic?
Yeah, it's an overwhelming time for everyone. I practice a lot of self-care. I try to remember that once I step inside my home, that I'm home. I don't have to work. I'm not, I'm not on the clock. So I try to make sure I leave room for myself, reading a book. Um, it's overwhelming to watch the news sometimes. So reading a book or painting is something I like to do, finding hobbies, seeking some therapy for myself so that I have, an emotional outlet has been really productive for me. So
Nice. When you say therapy, what does therapy look like?
so I have a therapist that I see, once a week, and it's really helped me with any sort of anxieties and things like that. It's a nice emotional outlet. I can, I have someone who kind of helps me regulate my emotions so that when I get to work, I am able to give the best quality support and I can be the best version of myself for these individuals whom I work with. And so my stuff doesn't get in the way.
Yeah. Yeah. And did you feel like throughout the time of learning about the COVID-19 pandemic and what it is and how it impacts people, did you feel like you had a greater amount of anxiety as you were dealing with
Yeah,
going to work every day?
absolutely. Absolutely. I feared for myself. I feared for my family. I feared for the family of those whom I work with. I feared for the people I work with. I have people in my car and I thought, oh my God, I have to sanitize my car. It's overwhelming, but I, which it's important to be well informed. It's important to also try my best. If I have someone in the car, okay, I want to make sure that, God forbid someone is exposed, whatever the case may be. I want to make sure that my car is always sanitized. My car is a safe and sanitized place. So I keep a sanitizing spray and I just spray my seat. I wipe them down. Lysol wipes. I've gone through tons, but it's important. It's important to me to have to make sure that the individuals I work with are in a clean environment. I wash my hands every time I come into someone's home. I wash my hands when I get home. So taking extra precautions is important.
Were there specific things that your organization did to support you, you and your mental health, you and the information that you get, the training to respond to the pandemic that were particularly useful?
So at the very beginning, I remember getting emails and things kind of explaining, okay, we need to, wear masks. And this was at the very beginning, wearing masks, gloves. If we're making food or cooking with someone, that's important. Definitely the mask, always. They making sure that they understand that they also need to wear masks. Patty is always available to talk. She makes herself very accessible to call in case I have any worries or I don't know, any anxieties about if I'm exposed. I always let them know. That's very important. And so that, communication is clear. If she knows that someone was exposed and they let her know, someone who I work with, they will let me know in time. And so I have time to get tested and, so that was helpful. And she's always available to talk. So
Patty is your supervisor.
yes.
So you're interacting with people
Yeah.
throughout your day.
Yep.
And then also in your life, I assume you're probably also interacting with folks.
Yeah.
Do you have family as well that you come home to?
I don't live with my family. I live with my husband, but I try to limit our social sort of gatherings. At the very beginning of the pandemic, we stayed within our bubble of just our family. And even then it was a little tricky because everybody sort of has their own bubble. And then you worry that, you go to the supermarket and you walk past these people and you never know, right? So I try to just always limit my social activities, as everybody has during this time. I'm fully vaccinated, as I said before, and I plan on getting the booster shot as well. So yeah, and all of my loved ones are also vaccinated. So yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. How have you offered yourself grace during this time?
Um, I try to remember that I'm human and I'm not a robot and I'm allowed to sometimes not know the answer. When I'm asked things like, when are we going to be able to, from people that I work with, when they ask me, when are we going to be able to do these things again or go to these places? I don't know. I don't know when that's going to happen. But if we take these precautions and we keep ourselves safe and healthy, then the faster we can all do that, the quicker we can get to doing things that we used to do before. I also try to remember that, I'm not meant to know the answers of everything. I'm not meant to know, what to do in every situation. And that's okay. I am learning every single day. I am learning about myself and about the individuals I work with. Thankfully, I have an amazing supervisor. Patty is an amazing guide. Like I said, she makes herself very easily accessible. So I'm able to just call her and be like, oh, you know what? Like today was a rough day. I don't know if I made the right decision. I don't know if I said this correctly. And she'll kind of guide me from there. So yeah.
Wonderful. Is there any particular advice that she's given throughout this, or any ways that she's led that have been particularly helpful and important for you in taking care of yourself?
Yes. Not too long ago, I was working with someone who needed some help getting food, and I was taking it on at home. I'm off on the weekends, but I was still thinking about it and I was worrying, and I almost made it my problem. And while I do worry because I'm human, I have to remember that I need to have a little more faith in the people I work with. They'll figure it out. They will. And they had everything they needed to figure it out. I need to remember that I have to take care of my needs so that I can provide the best support and, help those I work with fill their needs. So her advice to me was really, you need to worry about yourself first. And by that, I mean, you need to take care of yourself first. You do.
Yeah. So on a day-to-day basis, what kind of changed when she gave you that permission to take care of yourself?
I went home feeling like I had less weight on my shoulders. I went home feeling, okay, today we did X, Y, and Z with so-and-so. They have everything they need. They're going to be fine. And I can go home and I will see them again next week and it'll be okay. And they have my number. I have to remember that I am doing the best that I can. And that's all I can do is do the best that I can. I'm not perfect and nobody is and nobody should be. But I'm doing the best that I can given the times that we're living in. And that's all I can do. And really accepting that. It's a hard pill to swallow, but it's all you can do.
Yeah. It's a lot to carry, it sounds like. Yeah. And in terms of ongoing support, what have been the biggest things for you to make sure that you're taking care of yourself?
The biggest things for me have been therapy and also what's it called? Putting my phone down. Not answering emails on the weekend, not answering texts all the time, just sort of staying present with the people who I spend time, my family, my husband, and doing activities that will keep me present and keep me grounded. We live in, the era of technology, and we're all very connected, and that's great, but sometimes it can be a little overwhelming. So shutting off my laptop, my phone, sometimes TV, and just doing things like reading a good book or going on a walk or things that will keep me present. That's important.
Yeah, getting a break from
Yeah.
work.
Yes.
Some time for yourself.
Yeah.
Wonderful. That is so cool. So what advice would you give other DSPs?
Don't try to be perfect. Don't try to know the answers to everything, and take every person that you work with. Try your best to learn something new. There's a hidden maybe skill there, or a piece of knowledge there that you didn't know before. And so I think it's important to learn more about yourself. Sorry, let me rephrase that. When you work with someone new, you learn a lot about them, but you're learning a lot about yourself too. If there's something you're struggling with, something that made you uncomfortable, why? Find out why, so that you can provide the best support, and be good to yourself.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your experiences. All of these things are important for us to share with one another as we respond to the pandemic and the other challenges that we face as DSPs.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful to talk with you. Thank you.